ball game, but we do have a lineup, and I would like to introduce that lineup to you as we get started. At first base, leading off, the director of Johnny B. Wiley Stadium, Cedric Holloway. At second base, the vice president of the Buffalo Bison Boosters, Charlie Green. At third base, Buffalo Bison's assistant general manager, Brad Bisbing. At shortstop, Willie Hutch Jones. He's the director of educational and sports program, Omega Mentoring, along with Cedric Holloway. In right field, the chairman of the Association of Film Commissioners International, Tim Clark. Pinch hitting for the county executive today, Dan Meyer. The Seasons of Baseball project manager / publisher, Mike Billoni. In center field, Del Reed, founder and owner of 26 Shirts. The pitcher actually today is Jim Overfield.
I'd like to welcome you to what was originally the Prospect Reservoir. Where you are seated at one point was underwater. This was a reservoir that served the neighboring houses with their water. Now, that was in the early 20s, late 20s, early 30s, when reservoirs became obsolete. They drained this particular reservoir, utilized the rocks that were left that were used to line the reservoir. They used them and they lined the facility, which was going to be later known as a football stadium called the Rush Stadium. But a lot of the rocks that were used for the reservoir are still on the side here on Dodge Street if you go down that street, which is where we got the name, the rock pile. Not a lot of folks know that. So initially, after the reservoir was drained, it became Rush Stadium. After Rush Stadium, it became Grover Cleveland Stadium. After Grover Cleveland Stadium, it became Civic Stadium. And then after Civic Stadium in the 60s, it was named War Memorial. And in 1997, this facility was named the Johnny B. Wiley Athletic Amateur Sports Pavilion. This facility was named after my father, Johnny B. Wiley, and to honor the life and work that he did with the community. My father worked within the community, influencing youth and saving lives. He was a community warrior that had the ability to inspire and motivate youth. Currently, the facility, under my leadership and volunteers, is a home for activities that continue the legacy of my father, Johnny B. Wiley. I thank everyone for coming.
Raise the mic up. Raise it up? Okay. Thank you, Cedric. Now we're going to hear from the author of the Seasons of Buffalo Baseball, James Overfield.
Yeah, thanks everyone for coming this morning. It's quite a thrill to be standing here in front of you, believe me. My dad was a full-time Buffalonian. He was born here, spent all but 3 years of his 84 years here in Buffalo, and he loved the city. He had a career as a business person working for Monroe Abstract and Title in downtown Buffalo, and at the same time, slowly over the years built up a reputation as one of the outstanding amateur baseball historians anywhere in the country. And he wrote literally hundreds of articles chronicling the story of the game in Buffalo since the middle of the 19th century. But his crowning achievement was a book that he published in 1985, whose cover I'm holding up here before you. It was called The 100 Seasons of Buffalo Baseball. And what we've attempted to do in our book is to continue the legacy of that groundbreaking book and update it in a book called The Seasons of Buffalo Baseball, 1857 to 2020. And I must say, it's been a great joy to work on the project for the last 3 years. Unlike my dad, whose whole life was lived in Buffalo, after I finished graduate school, I took a job at the University of Vermont in Burlington, Vermont, and Vermont has been my home ever since. But in all those years, like thousands of other Buffalo expatriates, I've maintained a deep love and affection for the people of Buffalo and the city. Unfortunately, on occasion, it's also meant an undying allegiance to Buffalo's sports teams, which has brought me a number of exhilarating moments, but a lot of not so memories that aren't so great. And as I said, it's been a great joy for me to collaborate with a number of Buffalonians without whose help this project would never have occurred. I'm listed as the editor, author of the book, which really isn't that accurate. The book is really a collaborative effort, which draws on the knowledge and skills of many other individuals connected with the city of Buffalo. And I would be amiss if I let this opportunity go without mentioning some names. First on the list is Mike Billoni, former general manager of the Bisons, who served as production manager of the book. And I fully come to appreciate how he earned the title of the P.T. Barnum of Buffalo baseball, a man of tremendous energy and tremendous ability. Brian Frank, who's listed as one of our assistant editors, is a public school teacher who's just getting ready to launch the school year and couldn't be with us this morning. But if there's anyone on the face of the earth who matches the knowledge of Buffalo baseball history that my dad had, it would be Brian. He has created a wonderful website called the Herd Chronicles, which chronicles the history of Buffalo baseball with a high degree of knowledge and professionalism. The ball club has been a big help. President of Rich Baseball Operations, Mike Bushkowski, Brad Bisbing, who's now the assistant general manager of the club, and Brad is here somewhere. I'll be speaking later in the morning, and the current general manager of the team, Anthony Sprague. Local sports writers, Mike Harrington, who's here, Sal Majorana of the Rochester Democrat and Chronicle, have both made contributions to the book, as well as another local Buffalo baseball historian, Paul Langendorfer, who has written, Paul's up here, written a very fine book called Baseball in Buffalo. In addition to these names, could add to the list any number of archivists and librarians who have helped with the project. John Boutte, collector of local Buffalo sports memorabilia, who has opened his collection to us for use in the book. The book has also been a great joy to me because at the end of the day, it tells an uplifting story. The story of baseball in Buffalo, and I think the story of Buffalo, the city, is a story that has a happy ending. As I drive around the city today, after seeing the shape of the city 20 or 25 years ago, I am always impressed by the many signs of progress and growth, and Buffalo's slow and still incomplete recovery from the experience of depopulation and deindustrialization following World War II. The story of Buffalo baseball is also one with a happy ending. maintaining, for the most part, a minor league franchise, maintaining even minor leagues, has always been a tremendously challenging task. And the history of baseball in the United States is the story of many hundreds, literally, of franchises, of cities who lost their franchise, or of leagues that disintegrated. But the story of Buffalo baseball is a little bit different and a little bit similar. There are any number of occasions throughout the history of the team, beginning from the very start, in 1881, 1885, 1901, 1915, the 1920s, 1952, 1956, Buffalo came within a whisker of losing its team. And of course, on one occasion, that actually happened in the 1970s. Baseball returned in 1979, only looked to be on the brink of failure again in 1983. But all of this changed in that year when Bob Rich Jr. bought the club and introduced an operation that now has become a model for a successful, innovative baseball franchise and is recognized as such across the country. They didn't get a major league franchise, but now we're able to see Major League Baseball being played in a beautiful downtown ballpark that without the input of the rich ownership group would never have happened. So it is, as I said, an exhilarating story and a story that has a happy ending. It's a story that's full of incredibly interesting and fascinating ball players and managers. And we hope our readers enjoy reading the book as much as we have enjoyed making it. And thank you again for coming.
Thank you, James.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. Thank you, James. Next in the lineup from the Buffalo Bisons, one of the men responsible for bringing the Blue Jays to Buffalo this summer, Bison's assistant general manager, Brad Bisming.
Thank you. Thank you, Stu. Great baseball guy, and Stu. And there's no one I don't think in Western New York I'd rather watch a game with than Stu Boyer with his passion for our great sport. I am honored on behalf of the Bison's organization to be on, be here on such the ground of such great sports memories in this town, but also to be a part, albeit a small part, of a great project. And I want to congratulate both Jim and Mike. I know over the last 3+ years, they've really put their heart and soul into this project, and I'm tremendously excited, as I think we all should be when the book does come later this fall. And I can tell you, 17 years at the Bisons. On many occasions, when I've either been at my desk or in the press box during a game, where I needed to get some information about the Bison's history. And even in this world where there's information at your fingertips on the internet, my first direction I always go to is the 100 Seasons of Buffalo Baseball. Truly a Bible of our organization. And I take it off the shelf. I carefully take the rubber bands off. Hope I can find what I'm looking for without the glue cracking on one more page. But that just is part of the love that I have for that book and for what it means to our organization, for professional baseball in Buffalo. And I'm looking forward to, hopefully in 2021, when the Bisons return to minor league baseball, that I'll have another weapon, so to speak, in the bullpen to turn to, and being the updated version, and Jim's great work of his revising and updating his father's work, and have the Seasons of Buffalo Baseball right alongside my copy of 100 Seasons of Baseball Buffalo. And I do think it's fitting this fall and this time of year to have this book coming, because of what we have going on at Salem Field, and as Stu mentioned, having Major League Baseball at Salem Field, and Major League Baseball coming back to Buffalo after 100 years, and even the Blue Jays coming back like they did last night, down 7 runs. It's a time of comebacks, and it's great that this book is making a comeback as well, in the form of the updated version, Seasons of Buffalo Baseball. The Bison's organization is proud to support Jim and Mike's efforts and everybody involved. Jim went down the list between Brian Frank, John Boutte, Mike, everybody that was involved with the book. It's a tremendous product, tremendous process, and we're looking forward to having that book available. And Mike will tell you the book will be available at bisons.com. They have a special reserve pre-sale going on right now. So I encourage everyone. This is a piece of our nation's pastime in this city, spanning almost 150 years. And again, I'm just honored to be here and honored to be small part of the process, and want to congratulate Jim and Mike on this tremendous work. Thank you.
Thanks, Brad. Thank you, Brad. Thank you, Brad. I can say it's not really a summer without you and the Bisons. Moving right along, the chair of the Association of Film Commissioners International, Tim Clark.
Thanks a lot, Stu.
You're welcome.
Well, it is a great day to be here, and I remember not all that long ago, or it doesn't seem that long ago, that we were standing. It was War Memorial Stadium, and they were playing ball here and shooting a movie called The Natural. It was nearly 40 years ago, believe it or not, and Academy Award winning director Barry Levinson stormed into town with Robert Redford, with Glenn Close, with Robert Duvall, and so many other great actors and actresses. And they shot here in Buffalo almost entirely. Arguably the best sports movie of all time, I think, and that movie's been hailed really throughout the world. The movie had a theatrical release a year later, right? So 1983 they were here to shoot. 1984 that movie came out. And Mike Billoni, who is seated here and was the project manager on this new updated version of the book, was really playing an important role in bringing that movie to town. You know, they were searching the country. Mel Bourne, who was the production designer on that great film from TriStar Pictures, he had heard about the stadium in Buffalo, and through a series almost comical mistakes, they wrote off Buffalo, not realizing that the stadium still existed at the time. And Mike convinced them to come here and to shoot not just the baseball field scenes or the stadium scenes, but really the other acquainted scenes in this period movie. Now, to this day, in our office, the Buffalo Niagara Film Office, we still receive frequent requests for that stadium. It was torn down, as you know, in 1988, built in 37, but we lost the entirety of the stadium in 88. And when filmmakers now come to town, and there's so many great movies that are shot here now, it's almost, they almost all say, look, I want to see the sights, I want to see that stadium, I want to see that old hotel, which is really the Ellicott Square building. They want to see the sights of our great community, because it was such a great movie that everybody references. So 1 year after that movie was released, Joe Overfield released possibly the greatest Buffalo baseball sports book of all time. And I think it's appropriate, as we stand here on these sort of sacred grounds of the old War Memorial Stadium, to unveil the cover of this new updated version of the book. You know, I can almost hear the crack of the bat as the character Roy Hobbs, Robert Redford's character, makes his pennant-winning home run. He explodes the lights that used to sit back here. He knocked that ball right into the light stanchion, and boy, do they blew all over the place. And I can also see Joe Overfield giving us kind of a nod from above and acknowledging his approval to his son Jim, who's you know, releasing this book soon. And we all owe, I think, a debt of gratitude to Jim and Mike, really, for keeping the legacy, Jim, of your father, alive, and for providing just another great addition, or a chapter, I guess, in Buffalo's baseball history as you unveil this new edition of the book. And it'll certainly keep movie fans and sports fans pretty excited. And in closing, I just want to acknowledge, too, another great baseball fan in the audience here today, our county clerk, Mickey Kearns, who is an important guy in this community and a big baseball fan. So I see him in the front row here, and I just wanted to acknowledge that. Well, thank you very much, and thanks, Stu.
Thank you, Tim. Next up, the Vice President of the Buffalo Bison's Boosters, Charlie Green.
I grew up in Rochester. I was a fan of the Rochester Red Wings. In fact, I still own 4 shares of stock in the community-owned Rochester Red Wings. And then at age 35, I moved to Buffalo, where the Bisons had been the enemy all these years. But unfortunately, there were no Bisons when I moved to Buffalo. I had to go to Batavia and Niagara Falls to see baseball. But thanks to the Rich family and some others, baseball came back, first in AA and now the AAA Bisons. The rest of my story you can read at the very back of the book. And I want to thank Jim and Mike for including the story of the Bison Boosters in this edition of the book. We have existed now for 36 years. We're in limbo this year, and we're looking forward to next year when hopefully I will be able to go to spring training games in Florida, and you all will be able to go with me to Bison games at Salem Field. Thank you.
Thank you, Charlie. We all agree with you. I, too, grew up in Rochester and was a member of the Knothole Gang in Rochester. Next up, pinch hitting for the county executive, Dan Meyer.
Thanks, Stu. 2020, what a weird year. I never thought I'd be related to anything to the Bisons, and I'd see Conehead in a medical mask and not carrying any beers with him. But yeah, pinch hitting, call from the bullpen for Mark Polenkars. He apologizes for not being here. It's a last minute thing. Really, Mark is a passionate fan of baseball, his beloved LA Dodgers, and of course the Bisons. So what we have here today is a official proclamation on behalf of Erie County celebrating the seasons of Buffalo baseball. I'll summarize it. I'm not going to read the whole thing in depth. But now, therefore, be it resolved that Mark Polenkars, the Erie County Executive, proclaims August 21st, 2020 as Joseph M. Overfield Day in Erie County, and he encourages all residents to celebrate Joseph Overfield's book, The 100 Seasons of Buffalo Baseball, as a tribute to Buffalo's astonishing baseball history. Thank you very much.
Dan, you want to give it to Jim? Right up there. In the front of the podium.
Here's the official. We'll give him the whole spiel about it. There's nothing there. And nothing like us stand here with us.
Sure. Okay.
Very good.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you
very much.
Thank you, Dan. Moving right along, we're going to hear from the Seasons of Buffalo Baseball Project Manager, Mike Billoni.
Hey, Cracker Jacks! Cracker Jacks! Hey, they're free today! They're free! Who needs some?
Are they cold? Are they cold? Ice cold?
No, they're warm.
So we have
They're free. When they're warm, they're free.
we have a new guarantee.
Anybody, free Cracker Jacks.
What a great day in Buffalo. Let's play two. I attended my first Bison game right here when home plate was over in that area there in 1966 against the Rochester Red Wings, and my favorite player back then was Duke Carmel, and I got him to sign this program book. I was also general manager here 35 years ago when Joseph M. Overfield, our historian, came out with the book, published the book, The 100 Seasons of Buffalo Baseball. And if anyone would like to see it, we have it on this table over here, along with a first draft of our new book, The Seasons of Buffalo Baseball. It was an honor to work with Joe on that book, and it's an even greater honor to be back here this morning on the same field to announce the update and revision of that book with Joe's son, Jim. As you will read in this book, Buffalo has a rich and storied history of professional baseball here in Buffalo. I wish someone here with us was probably one of the greatest Bison fan, definitely a great baseball fan from his youth, and that was former Mayor Jimmy Griffin, who brought baseball back right here to this place in 1979. We invited his daughter Maureen, but because of the pandemic, she couldn't be here. But I'm honored to have Erie County Clerk Mickey Kearns, a former South District Council member, who was here in the stand with Jimmy and his brother, enjoying some of those Conehead and Earl of Bud beers, watching the Bisons. But when Mickey was in the Common Council, he led the effort to change the official address of the Buffalo Bisons to 1 James D. Griffin Way. So thank you very much, Mickey. I'm also proud to have with us here today Greg Trainter, the chairman of the board of the Buffalo and Erie County Historical Society. When Joe Overfield passed, he left all of his archives and all of his records and photos and everything to the History Museum, and it's now chronicled the Joseph M. Overfield collection. And during the past 3 years, Jim and I spent many, many days in that library of yours going through this, and Greg has promised us a reception in April when the Bisons return in 2021. We began this event here today with the music of the natural when Roy Hobbs hit that home run out of the ballpark through the lights as the ultimate walk-off. And I'm happy to call up for a very brief comment Kevin Lester, who created the Wonder Boy bats, and Duke McGuire. Duke, come on up here. Duke, if you remember when Redford hit it out, Duke was on the bench yelling, oh, we won't say what he yelled, but Duke, what was it like watching that walk-off homer?
Oh, it was very cool. It was a very cool experience. I never really knew how they had filmed a movie before, but it was great. It was a great learning experience. And just one thing, no matter what he tells you, Lester did not hit that ball into the lights.
And then Kevin Lester, Robert Redford was over here. It was an amazing scene. He would come in, and they took the pitcher who threw up that home run ball was Chris Raybaum from St. Joe's, and he was also drafted by Cleveland. He was supposed to be the fill-in for Redford to hit, but Redford was a college baseball player. He hit. Kevin, tell him what happened when he went to the plate and the bat.
Well, first of all, the bat broke. The Wonder Boy bat broke, and he hit the home run with the Savoy Special. But I want to agree with Tim that it was one of the greatest sports movies ever, and also the fact that it's still talked about today, and it's included in the book, the Buffalo Bison baseball book. Duke and I had two double headers. We both worked for the Bisons for years, and we did the movie. It's just been great, and I always tell people I never played in the major leagues, but doing the natural was my major league.
What high school, Kevin?
Bishop Turner.
Thank you, Kevin. And Kevin has the Wonder Boy bat that he made that was used in the movie. Brad, we want to thank you and Booch and everyone with the Bisons and Rich Products, for all that you have done to help us. You could go to bisons.com. The book will retail. It'll be out during the World Series, although I've told Jim that we're probably going to delay it to the first week of November because I know the Buffalo Blue Jays playing under the auspices of Toronto will be in the World Series, so we'll delay a little bit on the release. But the book will retail for $49.95, but there's a 10% discount if you pre-order at bisons.com from today through October 1st. So thank you very much, Brad. When Jim and I began this journey 3 years ago, one of the things that we said we wanted to do in honor of his dad was to give something back and leave a legacy in his dad's name. And we are so honored today to announce the formation of the Joseph M. Overfield Memorial Baseball, Softball, and Mentoring Program. And it's a collaboration and a work in progress, but it's a collaboration with Omega Mentoring, who you've heard from him earlier, Cedric Holloway, the son of Johnny B. Wiley, and also the Willie Hutch Jones educational and sports program that plays here along with other places. And the main reason we collaborated with them, and as I said, it's a work in progress, is that their number one belief and number one motto is the children. And I know we have members of their board and both boards here, but I'd like to call up both Hutch and Cedric to just say a few words about your programs and this program.
Well, thank you again. I'd like to point out that my mentoring program, we've been around since 1999 and the previous version before that. It's an organization of committed volunteers who inspire youth to greater opportunities. 33 years I spent on the police department, 20 years on the SWAT team. I retired as the commander of the SWAT team. Also, I retired as the commander of the gun violence unit. And I can tell you firsthand that I never got used to seeing kids who have deceased because of senseless gun violence. And that absolutely affects me and affected me early in my career, which is why I became a part of the Omega Mentoring Program. It's all about the kids, as Mike earlier mentioned, just giving them direction, focus, exposure. We do a lot with the program, and this is an absolutely wonderful thing that was brought to me, as well as Willie Hutch Jones, with regard to our programs, to be able to continue what we do, and that's doing things for the youth. And I thank folks for that.
Thanks, Cedric.
Good afternoon, everyone. How are we doing today?
Great.
Beautiful. I was glad to hear that Bishop Turner got a shout out because I'm also a Turner graduate also, and it's just good to see Turner men still doing positive things in the community. Mike, I'm also happy about you because you got up here before me and moved the mic up a little bit. We had all these little guys, up here trying to talk, right? And I was worrying about that. But as I was sitting over there and I was just looking around the atmosphere here, and I was hearing a lot of different history about this venue. Said, I appreciate what your family has done for the community. It made me think that when I was a little kid, me and my dad, who is looking down upon me now, we used to walk up here, because I grew up literally blocks away from here, and we used to walk up Jefferson to come see the Bills play. I remember standing in the hallway there watching people like John Brody. Some of you guys probably wouldn't even know these guys. Joe Namath, O.J. Simpson. They would walk by, and back then, you could almost just reach out and touch these kind of individuals, because the standards in community and life wasn't like it is now. But it always ingrained something in me, that this neighborhood, this area here, to give back to. And I'm in charge of an organization right now that's, we're going on 36 years. A lot of you all here are not even 36 years old. But we've been doing things in the communities, not just the east side, we're on the west side. I'm just coming from my own soccer program that's going on in the Riverside Park, that we try to do things for free. All right, because I learned years ago, when you start putting money in front of people, now you're really discriminating because everybody don't have it, or they don't have a sponsor that can get them. So we believe as Omega men also that we must lift as we climb. So as we go forward in life, we've always wanted to go back and grab young people. And young people, I'm glad to see you all here, especially that purple. I'm really glad to see that. But understand this, you all know, we found out on this road of life that when you're true and you're sincere, you got true love and divinity in your heart, you will attract you. And that's where the mentoring comes in. And because one day you all will be taking my location, you'll be taking my spots, I said spots, and everybody else that's here, and become leaders in this community. And I just want to challenge you, as I'm challenging different people here, because I see the Board of Ed is here, athletic department guys, I see over there. We got, who else is here? Cedric, your whole group is here. There's a lot of people on both sides of me. All right, and we're gonna hold them to something because this is an honorable event. Yeah, we know the book, but let's say about the book of life and uplifting people. Okay, so more chapters can be written in that same book. It's an honor to have you back here today. Very much an honor, and it's an honorable event. So we are exhilarated to be a part of this and be at this table. And all you individuals that came here today, great speeches and everything, but it's gonna come a time that it's time to get to work and put it down on the table. And that's when you're gonna hear a little bit more from me. But Mike, thanks for letting me get this opportunity to blow them out of here. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Hutch. Thank you, Hutch. And we're going to be raising the funds. We're reaching out to corporate, Western New York. But the fellow who created the term Bill's Mafia, and I'm hoping he can go Jay's and Bison Mafia soon, Del Reed also created 26 shirts. And when he heard what we're doing here to help the kids in this program, Del, why don't you come up here and talk about, and he's wearing his new Buffalo baseball jersey.
See, I got to move the mic down. I'm one of the little guys. Thank you so much for having me. And Mike, thank you for inviting me to be a part of what you're doing. William, Cedric, thank you for what you guys do in the community. That's such an inspiration. 26 shirts, if you're not familiar with it. I'll give you the real quick, short pitch. I know it's bottom of the ninth here. But we released different Buffalo-themed shirts that give a portion of the proceeds back to the community. The shirt I'm wearing right now, it was called Major League. It celebrated the Blue Jays playing in Buffalo. We managed to raise over $60,000 that we donated, half of that to Feed More Western New York, the food bank, and the other half of that $60,000 we donated to the Community Food Centers of Canada. We felt it was probably a good idea. Thanks. We thought it was a good idea to maybe share the donations just like Toronto is sharing the team with Buffalo. So when Mike told me about the book that was coming out and just the programs that it was affiliated with, the Joseph M. Overfield baseball, softball mentoring program, really wanted to be a part of that. And so we're working on a design now to celebrate Buffalo's rich history of baseball. And we'll be releasing that next month with the donation going towards that mentoring program. So thank you, Mike, for inviting 26 Shirts to be a part of this, and thanks everybody for your time.
Yeah, right after this. Thank you very much, Del. Wow, if you made 60 grand with that shirt, I'd like your artist to spend a lot of time working on this so we can maybe double that. But he's going to make a vintage Buster Bison, and it'll be released sometime in June. Before we continue, I'd like to recognize Lenny Lane, another great man in this area, the founder of the Fathers Group that has a major celebration next week. Thank you very much, Christina Epp, for putting this all together. And Stu, let's unveil the cover.
I'm not as tall as some of the guys here. And now, the moment of the day that we've all been waiting for, James Overfield and Mike Billoni will give us the first look at the new book. Here it is.
All right. Woo! You want to mention again when and where people can get the book and when it's coming out?
And again, I've got copies here that you can see what's inside the book, but this is available now at bisons.com for a 10% discount of the retail price of $49.95, and the book will be released during the World Series of 2020.